All right. So what you're just watching is I just finished watching President Trump addressing the Congress. I wanted to do like a quick review just to highlight some of the stuff that I find interesting here. As you know, I refuse to be sentimental about this president. I'm patiently waiting for the next 4 years or a little bit less than 4 years to see what's
You have
about
been
to
watching
happen.
President Donald Trump's joint address to Congress, which just
All right, so we're just finished watching that, but there's some quite interesting things that happened. But welcome back. My name is Ola, coming to you live from my Empire Pro Studios. I'm on the road, okay? So, but shout out to you. I appreciate you for being here. Yeah. So, President Trump just addressed the nation and the Congress. So I'm gonna play a little bit of that for you, and then the highlights of the night is that a guy called I think one of the members of the Senate or the House, he started interjecting him, and he had to be removed. So I'm gonna play that for you, and we're gonna see if we can learn one or two things from that. All right, let's watch that together. So you can see the guy being interrupting President Trump. Let's go back a little bit. So I guess it's one of the Democrats. As you can see, the Democrat side of the House, they were sitting down, they were not applauding. Donald Trump had a few things to say about that.
Mr. Green, take your seat. Take your seat, sir. Take your seat. Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order. Remove this gentleman from the chamber.
And then it was removed from the chamber. So before that, you could see J.D. Vance kept doing his hands like this. Like, just get him out of here. Get him out of here. But I guess it finally happened. So for me, I think that was the highlight of the night. It was removed. Then I caught the video.
Go. Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House. Mr. President, you continue.
All right, so
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Over the
you
past
may
6
continue.
weeks,
But before I let Mr. President continue, I'm not going to play up there. I'm just going to tell you some of the highlights from the night. But this gentleman, some journalists caught him outside when it was coming. So I'm going to play some of that for you. So let's take a look at that.
The president said he had a mandate. And I was making it clear to the president that he has no mandate to cut Medicaid. I have people who are very fearful. These are poor people, and they have only Medicaid in their lives when it comes to their health care. And I want him to know that his budget calls for deep cuts in Medicaid. He needs to save Medicaid, protect it. We need to raise the cap on Social Security. There's a possibility that it's going to be hurt, and we've got to protect Medicare. These are the safety net programs that people in my congressional district depend on. And this president seems to care less about them and more about the number of people that he can remove from the various programs that have been so helpful to so many people. It is the best way to get it across to a person who uses his incivility.
All right, so his concern for interrupting the president was basically to have him not touch Medicaid. Okay. So anyway, with that being said, I'm just gonna go ahead.
have signed nearly 100 executive orders and taken more than 400 executive actions, a record to restore common sense, safety, optimism, and wealth all across.
All right, so he kept talking about common sense. I'm just gonna let him talk while I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna tell you what he said. I have some highlights that I'm gonna point out for you. Do whatever you may with it. For me personally, I'm waiting patiently to see how this 4 years pan out. Today, the market tumbled more than 1%, erased from the from U.S. markets today. To me, that doesn't mean anything. That's short-term moves. Today, Mexico and Canada strike back, so the trade war is on. But there's some highlights, some interesting highlights from this speech. First of all, as soon as he walked in, he had he got some standing ovation from his side of the aisle. But as soon as he started talking, he also really applauded Melania Trump, his wife, who also got a standing ovation. And then he went on to say, America is back. Then he talked about the dawn of the golden age, of course. And he said, we're just getting started. As soon as he said, we're just getting started, at that point, they showed Elon Musk. Elon Musk is also, he's feeling himself. It looks like he's the brain behind, it's a very important brain behind what Donald Trump's has been doing, As soon as he started talking, he also talked about how they won the popular vote. And then people started saying USA, USA, USA. And then the member who was breaching the decorum, Mr. Al Green, that happened, which I just played for you, which I think is the highlight. They're going to talk a lot on the news about that. You might see that throughout the day today. So I'm actually taping this the night before, so just after I finished watching. All right, so then as he kept talking and talking, you could see the Democrats, they kept raising the placard that says false. It's almost like they're doing fact check. They were protesting, but it is what it is. For me, I refuse to get sentimental about anything Trump. I want to see it pan out. We're in very interesting times, and unfortunately, business is not going to be business as usual. Things are changing right in front of our face, but there's always something new since the beginning of mankind. So he talked about his first month being the most successful month ever because of some of the execution, the fast execution of some of the stuff in the agenda. And he said the only person that second to that was George Washington, rather. So he also talked about how the immigrants is the least amount of immigrants crossing over into the United States ever. He said they heard his word and they chose not to come. Okay, and then he went on to address the Democrats directly. He told them, he said nothing he did could ever make them happy. Right after he said that, there was a bunch of applause from his side of the aisle, the Republicans. And then as soon as they calmed down, he tried to patronize them. He said, why don't you let us stand together and celebrate America, blah, blah, blah. And then they showed Pelosi. I think Pelosi was the former speaker or maybe the leader of the House, right? I'm not keeping up. Help me. Somebody help me with that in the chat. They showed her face like, nope. Nobody stood up. They didn't get up. And then he goes, woke no longer. So then he talked about this story of a male person that joined a girls team. For me personally, that is a big, for me that's big. I really like that he's canceling all this gender-based wokeness or anything that basically, anything that crosses the line of what I personally consider to be nature, especially when they are actively pushing those agenda down our kids' throats. I personally don't appreciate that. So I told the story of a male person, a person born male, who was a part of a girls' team, and then they finished 5 hours. I think it was a volleyball, some kind of sport. They finished 5 hours faster than the others. They broke records. Like, come on, like that doesn't make any sense. But we see that, for me, I see that Democrats continue to be dismissive of when we talk about this kind of stuff, and they don't want to talk about it, but then it's actually happening. I've seen all kind of documentations with them, they, and that all these different pronouns and confusion. Anyway, we're gonna come back to that in a second. Then he talked about the drill, baby, drill. As you know, energy, everything going green. He's completely slowing all of that down. And then he talked about the DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, led by Elon Musk. And then they showed Elon Musk again. And then they spent some time on that. They talked about some $22 billion that they already caught, some $45 million already caught, some $8 million that was going to African nation of Lesotho. And he was like, does anybody ever heard of Lesotho? Okay, so for me, I'm like, okay, maybe this is like a comedic thing. I would like to hear what the professionals who do fact check on this stuff, I want to hear what they have to say. They talked about some other $60 million, some $8 million that went into mice transgender experiments. Now that's crazy. If that's real, I don't know if that's real, but you guys tell me in the comments. Is that a real thing? $8 million. Okay, anyway. Then he talked about a $1.9 billion, hundreds, total going into hundreds of billions of dollars that DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, already caught. All right, so he started to talk about all those people that are supposed to be 150 plus years old. About 1.3 million people are apparently receiving Social Security payments. I need to take a look at that myself. I'm sure some people are fact checking that already, but this is discovered by the DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency. More than 1.3 million people, 150 years plus of age, money being paid out to these people, and then one person at 360 years old. That sounds wild, right? Do you believe it? Anyway, I don't know. Let's find out. I doubt if something like that will be going in the federal government, United States of America, and nobody has uncovered it. But I guess if it's true, it's been uncovered now. But they sound like they're just laughing, JD Vance, Musk, and they're still doing some, like they haven't really finalized if this is the real thing or not. And then he went on to talk about the $5 million access by way of the gold card. Forget the green card. If you have $5 million, you can enter Yankee, and come and create more businesses for us, and then pay some taxes and don't go back to your country again. You have everything, green card plus more. America is for sale. It's always been for sale, by the way. Anyway, so he talked about this one, which is any car made in America. This is going to be American imported law. China. So Hyundai, some people might Hyundai, whichever one, they do coming to India. So hopefully they can pay people enough to sustain. Then talk about his superstition. This reminds me of very dark man, like he's using instincts for the whole nation. That's interesting. Instincts and superstition. Anyway, what do you think about that? It's crazy, right? Anyway, he talked about all these trillions of dollars that's being invested by Apple and many other companies like Oracle towards AI. So they're excited about that one. And then again, he told the Democrats that all they needed to do to secure the border was not new legislation as they claimed. What they needed was a new president. Of course, it was throwing shade. And then they showed a cancer survivor kid. Seems like the kid might be in his teenage years, maybe between 11 and 15, who was officially made a U.S. agent. And he's a cancer survivor. And then he talked about how cancer has increased by more than 40% in kids. And they don't know what's going on. I mean, you and I kind of know that there's some craziness going on with our food, right? And then they talked about autism. This is close to home for me. Actually, autism from 1 in 10,000 has gone to 1 in every 36 kids. And then he went on to really emphasize wokeness is gone. Then, last but not least, of what I'm going to point out, there's some other stuff, but I'm going to point this out and I'll leave it alone. Since this was trending over the past few days, you saw Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, being bullied into submission. But now he said Zelensky has sent a letter, and he's now saying he's ready to sign Trump's deal, and they're ready to sign it whenever they're ready. And Trump seemed very excited about that and said they're going to be saving 2,000 lives per day or something like, or per week, something like that. So as long as they're saving lives, for me personally, let me tell you like this: I refuse to get sentimental when it comes to Trump. America, the United States of America, voted him in. That's the Ashikagba. That's in the end. They voted him in spite of grabbed by the pushy. Somebody was trying to remind me of that today. In terms of whatever character flaws you might personally think he has, they voted him in. Something was going on. Why would they vote him in? Right? Are they just stupid, or there's something there? What is it that's there? Can you explain it? But anyway, the overall, I think his speech, his delivery tonight was inspiring. I think the Democrats have coconut head, rightfully so. They have the right to protest. I guess they don't appreciate the brash method and the bullying people into submission, all this kind of stuff. His intimidation style, way of negotiations. It just worked on Zelensky, according to him. We'll see more about that tomorrow. The market tumbled in one day. That's just one day. The market that tumbled in one day can rally for the next 6, 5, 8 days. The market is emotional. It is what it is. Greed and fear operating in real time. I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use 4 years. Okay? I want us to see what happens in 4 years. I want to see what happens I'll be watching over the next 4 years. I'll see what happens. I find power in general interesting. I think people get sentimental. Their emotions come to play, and they don't know what to do with themselves. They said that I was at my church barbecue last July 4th, and a woman just said, "I wish he died in his sleep." I'm like, wait, why? Why do you need that to happen?
Priorities is to rescue our economy and get dramatic and immediate relief to working families. As you know, we inherited from the last administration an economic catastrophe and an inflation nightmare. Their policies drove up energy prices, pushed up grocery costs, and drove the...
Anyway, so that's my recap of what happened with the Trumps addressing the Congress. I would like to know your take. Please do me a favor. If you watched it, if you didn't watch it, let me know just your overall thoughts about Mr. Trump's presidency administration. I'd like to know what you think about it. Personally, I'm indifferent. I voted for Kamala, but I'm very aware that the country voted for President Trump, and I had my doubts. When I was voting, I was like, oh, okay, it looks like I'm just going to give this vote away. Looks all confusing to me. Usually I could tell where the nation is, but this last one was just quite confusing. I think I have an idea of what happened. People are just tired of the lies, and they just say, just scatter everything. Scatter everything. But again, overall, the speech, I think it was probably inspirational, more inspirational. He has some very inspirational elements. And the typical intimidation that you've seen over the past few days, I think there was less of it. If anything, he tried to patronize and appeal to the Democrats. They weren't having it. They were protesting. They were quiet. They sat down. They did not applaud for the most part. I think I saw a lady called Elizabeth Warren. That's her name. I think at some point she was doing like some very weird applaud, like she was joking around or something. I'm not sure. But you guys let me know if you caught that part. Let me know your thoughts. Hopefully you've been enlightened, educated. Hit like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications. And if you like this conversation, we'll continue to have it. All right, we'll talk soon. Take care. God bless. Peace.
Girl, it's your love that I've been missing. I miss all your hugs, your touching and kissing. Me love on the floor, the couch in the kitchen. One love enough, we done enough.